Brazil has a lot of iron, has a lot of cereals, has a lot of, I would say, cargo to be transported by the sea. Some of that cargo is transported, is shipped by external companies. So there is a huge opportunity for Brazil to develop not only ports, but also shipping.
Let's continue talking to Miguel Marques. He's from Portugal, partner at PwC there in that country, and he is specialized in the blue economy, the economy of the sea. Now, in the second part of the interview, let's talk about Brazil. How Brazil is exploring the blue economy.
Brazil is a very important country in the sea and in the economy of the sea, and has an industry which is the oil and gas offshore exploration that technologically in Brazil is very evolved, is very advanced. It is in 2015, it was the 5th country in the world in terms of extracting oil and gas from the sea. But the opportunities that the sea delivers to Brazil are many. Like, for instance, tourism. Tourism is very important for Brazil. However, is not yet too much explored, I would say, or developed. There is a long way to gain more on sea tourism here in Brazil. And you have, for instance, very good sports people in terms of surf or sailing. So you win medals, gold medals, you are in top 3, top 2 in terms of surf. So you are already using well the sea. However, you can capture more add value from sea activities.
How?
It's important to have a strategy, but more than a strategy, to try to implement on the field. First question you must answer is, who is going to develop the economy of the sea? Who are the people? And that leads us to training and to scientific investigation, so leads us to school to learn more about sea activities. But even if you can answer to the question, who is going to explore the sea on the Brazilian community, as we are animals from land, to use the sea, we need equipment. So we should develop shipbuilding industry, but in a concept which is not the building of ships, is also the building of platforms, is the building of robots. So that is the second question. What are we going, or where are you going to invest money in terms of giving equipment to the ones that are going to explore the sea? And there is always two ways: building yourself or buy from the others. We always recommend that you try to at least have a huge percentage of equipment that you use on the sea building by yourselves. So that is how we can develop on the economy of the sea, is to find the ones that are perfect, because not anyone is able to be on the sea. There is the need, the skills, there is the need in some cases to be born nearby the sea, because it is humid, is a context that is always changing with the waves. So it's a tough environment. Only with passionate people, you are able to develop on the economy of the sea.
Historically, fishermen and the fish industry, they fight. Could you suggest something?
Not only in fishing are conflicts or tensions. Normally, it's not. We do not find a lot of matches in between, for instance, tourism and fishing, or even with ports and aquaculture. because sometimes we don't understand that we can win more if we work together. So the answer is to try to find win-win situations to the both sides. And in the case of fishing, if we find a solution for the traditional fishing and for the industrial fishing that can give more add value to the sea community, I'm sure everyone will be on the table to try to understand how they can capture that value. And one of the tips could be to look to the fish when it's already fished as a raw material, and with that try to add value, like for instance with icy or with cooking it, so transforming it. Because if you present raw fish to urban people, they will not have the time to cook it. So if you try to pre-cook for them and sell with a little bit more margin, it will be a win-win situation for everybody. So we must look to the opportunities of more margins, and that margin could be captured by the fishing communities.
And regarding our ports, making comparisons to other countries, what could you say?
As you know, Brazil has a lot of iron, has a lot of cereals, has a lot of, I would say, cargo to be transported by the sea. Some of that cargo is transported, is shipped by external companies. So there is a huge opportunity for Brazil to develop not only ports but also shipping. When we are talking about ports, we should also look not only to the aspect of the logistic of the port, but also the bureaucracy. Sometimes the issue is not on the port itself, is on the bureaucracy that is around, is on the papers, is on the less communication between the port's agents. So, and on that field, I think Brazil has some work to do to be more efficient on these ports, and with efficiency, you know, we always win in terms of economics.
It's not rare we have some difficulties to export, especially in the ports here in the southeast.
Exports, Brazil is not situated in the biggest highway of the sea. It is a secondary highway. You know, the first highway of the sea grows from Asia, enters in the Mediterranean Sea, and crosses the Atlantic in between Europe and the United States. So you have to have a little bit of more effort to join the best ones in terms of shipping. And the tip is to use your cargo because you have a lot of cargo. It's not because of your position on the shipping, it's more about your cargo that you have to transport.
What about our rivers? Do you think we can use it better economically?
Yes, when we are talking about the economy of the sea, we include all the waters, also the internal waters, and you have on the internal waters opportunities on shipping, on transport, and you also have opportunities on tourism, but also on seafood, on food that comes from fish that are on the inland waters. And you are on top 15 in terms of aquaculture. I know that the top 5 is very, very big compared to the top 15, but at least you are in top 15, so you can progress more in the ranking of the aquaculture on inland waters.
Probably that's because sometimes we have plans to development inland. And I never heard about a government plan for development on the sea.
We have to have the sea is tough. The waves on the sea are not like the internal or inland waters. So it's also about a strategy, but You cannot find in the world a lot of cases of success on the sea. You find it on the Mediterranean and on fjords in Norway and in Scandinavia, because they are protected waters. We should also say that they are in internal waters or inland waters. So offshore aquaculture in the world is not very developed. For instance, the first country in terms of aquaculture is China, but the big majority, 80% of its aquaculture is in inland waters. So the key for you is, in terms of aquaculture, inland waters.
What is the impact and the opportunities lost when a place or a sea has lots of pollution, like our Bahia de Guanabara in Rio?
It's a pity that fantastic places like Rio have issues with pollution. It's not a specific case of Brazil. There are many places in the ocean. There are plastic islands on the ocean. So the issue of the environmental preservation is an important issue. So we have to do two things. Avoid pollution, but nowadays we also have to rebuild the environment. We have to take out the plastics from the sea, and particularly in Rio de Janeiro, there is the need of a campaign to try to clean that waters.
Miguel Marques, thank you so much for joining us in the second part of the interview. Thank you, and come to Brazil more, please.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Luciane. I will come.
Luciane Miranda to Dukascopy TV.